All right, welcome everybody. My name's Mr. Stoltenberg or Coach Stoltenberg or Mr. S. Welcome to first day of chemistry. I'm sorry I can't be here. I'm out of town today and tomorrow at a volleyball tournament. So you get to hear me talk through the projector, which is probably pretty interesting for you, or I don't know, but oh well. All right. Hopefully you picked up a sheet when you came in. This is your do now sheet. This is a sheet that you're gonna get once a week on Mondays. Um, Nearly every day that you come in here, if you look on the board, there will be a do now there, and you will respond to that do now in the appropriate spot on that sheet. At the end of the week on Fridays, I will pick those up, and it will go down as a daily grade for that week. Essentially, it's a completion grade. If you have entry for every day that we had a do now, you get 100. If we had 5 do nows that week and you only have 4, that's an 80, so on and so forth. There will be times, testing weeks, weeks where days where we do labs, or days that we might be displaced out of the classroom where we won't have a do now. Uh, those obviously won't count against you. So for today, since the first day of this week is Thursday, go to Thursday, write the today's date, and respond to this question. I'll have the sub pause the video um, and give you a few minutes to respond, and then we'll continue. So, question of the day, your do not of the day. Why are you here? Please respond to this in complete sentences in Thursday's section. Sub, you can pause the video now. All right, so let's talk about it. Why are you here? I have some reasons for you. Well, first and foremost, and one that probably a lot of y'all wrote, or something along these lines, it's because we have to be. Um, if you're under the age of 18 and you're enrolled, you're legally required to be here. Um, it's law, and if you miss enough days, then you have to go to truancy court, and uh, I don't know all the stuff that goes along with that, but I know it's not pleasant. So yeah, you're here because you have to be. I'm here because I have to be as well. Well, I'm not here right now, but I'm making this video because it's part of my job. I, have bills, have a little baby girl, I have a house. All those things don't pay for themselves. So yeah, I'm here because I have to be. I have to then need a paycheck. But you know, that's adult life for you. Uh, the state of Texas would want me to say the reason why you're here is to learn chemistry. This is chemistry class, so yeah, we're going to learn chemistry. Um, I have a whole list of topics that I have to follow that the state of Texas requires me to teach you, and by the end of the year, you should have mastered. Now, are you going to actually be able to master each of these topics in the limited amount of time that we get to spend on them? Probably not every single one of them, but we will cover every single one of them, and I will do my best to get you to the level of understanding that uh, we all can live with. Okay, those are the two reasons that that are kind of the black and white reasons. The next four are kind of really the reasons why you're here and really the reasons why you're in high school at all. The first one is to learn how to overcome adversity. This is a very difficult class, especially my pre-AP classes. This is requires you to put in maximum amount of effort, um, and you're going to be dealing with concepts that are very foreign to you. When we're talking about chemical world, we're talking about things happening at the atomic level, and for people as large as we are, trying to understand what's happening at the atomic level can sometimes be conceptually hard to do. There's a ton of math that's involved in this class, so if you're not strong in math, this is going to be a course that challenges you. But the point is to not um, you know, face this hurdle and not get over it. If you're here every day and you're doing the work that you're supposed to be doing, we will get you over any hump that we need to get you over, and you're going to learn and teach yourself that just because something's difficult doesn't mean you can't do it. Another big part of this class is learning to work cooperatively. Um, every time we do a lab, you're going to be working with other people, and every time we do one, you may not be working with your friends. I randomly assign lab partners every single lab. So there's going to be times where you're going to be standing next to or sitting across the table from somebody you may not know, somebody you may not like, but your grade is still dependent on your ability to complete that lab. So this class is going to help you learn how to work with other people. And this is a huge life skill. Every job I've ever had, no matter how singular my job is, I've still, in some form or fashion, had to work cooperatively with other people. And that's pretty much every job there is. Um, so if you haven't developed the skills to deal with people that you're not familiar with or not fond of, it's going to make it difficult when you get out into the real world and you have to work with those people. Your job and your paycheck depend on it. So that's one of the big things about this class is learning how to work with people and get the job done. The next one is really, really important as well. The how to think critically. Like I said, this is a very challenging course, and it's a very conceptual course because, it's atomic level stuff, so you can't really show it to you. We'll do experiments and we'll be able to see what happens in reactions and stuff, but we really won't be able to see what's happening at the atomic level. We just have to conceptualize it and understand it the best we can. Your brain has to be able to adapt to this. Um, and it's, you know, one of the things about the brain that most people don't realize is that it's very trainable. When you're an athlete or in band or in theater, the way you get better is by repetition, by practicing. You practice the piece of music over and over again. You rehearse your lines in a play. And an athlete, you're constantly performing those actions, whether it's a swing or a kick or going in the weight room. All these things, you're training yourself. The brain is no different. You can train your brain. If you come in here every day and make your brain work, make your brain think, it will get better at doing that. If you are one of those people that's constantly on your phone looking for quick, easy answers, you're not challenging your brain and you're not using it. It'd be very much like an athlete not going to the weight room and never practicing. They're never going to get better if you do that. Your brain is the exact same way. You can't become a better thinker unless you're constantly trying to push your brain and make it think. So that's a big part of this class. And lastly, you're here in this room, you're here in this school to learn how to become better human beings, to understand, what it takes to to get along in the real world, to understand that the person next to you may not think the way you think, may not believe the way you believe, but they're still a human being. They still deserve respect and to be treated that way. I'm going to try my best to make sure everybody in here is treated fairly and with respect and kindness that they deserve. And that's just part of being a good human being. Um, I like to joke around a lot, but I think the people that know me understand the difference between joking and being hurtful. Um, so hopefully we'll learn how to become better, you know, at being good humans throughout the course of this class. All right, let's continue on. All right, here are my expectations. One, you got to be here, and that's physically and mentally. Um, one first, physically, if you're not actually in my classroom, if you were one of those people that um, tend to take a day or two off every now and again, you will not be successful in this class, period. You have to be here to be successful. Um, I don't fail very many people, but the people that skip my class always fail. Um, but just being here isn't always enough. Um, if your body's in here, but you're sleeping, that's not being here mentally. This class is very difficult and requires maximum effort and concentration. So when you're in here for the 15 minutes that you're in here, you got to try your hardest to not let your mind slip mentally, to stay focused on what we're covering at the current time. I understand that that's really hard to do, especially 7 times a day. Um, I fall asleep in meetings all the time. So I'm not going to get mad at you if you fall asleep. And sometimes I'll even let you sleep. But I will do my best to keep you awake. Now, if you're a habitual sleeper, it might get to the point where I get tired of trying to wake you up and I'm going to let you sleep because it's not worth my time and energy to try to keep you awake. If Let's try not to get to that point because those people don't do well in this class either. To be prepared, make sure you have everything you need to have for that day. Um, Really, I don't have ask for y'all to have a lot of materials. I am going to suggest you have a 3-ring binder. I pass all of my notes and all of my handouts that I want you to have. I give them to you with 3 holes punched in them already for the most part. And if you have a nicely organized binder and you keep track of all your materials, those students tend to be a bit more successful than students who aren't. Um, Please bring something to write with. If you happen to not have something to write with, um, I will lend you a pencil, but at the price of your ID. So that way I get my pencil back at the end of class. Or if I don't get it back at the end of class, I don't know who to come looking for to get it. I expect you to come in here and work hard. Um, I've been mentioned it 3 times already. This is a tough class. This is a tough class. You can't skate by and do nothing in this class and expect to pass. Um, those who want to make A's in here are going to have to try really hard. Let's just put it that way. If your only goal is to pass, then you might be able to get away with slacking off every now and again. But if you slack off all the time, there's no way you will fail, guaranteed. Um, Plus, if you come in here and you work hard every day and you turn your assignments in on time and you do test corrections, you're doing everything you need to do, but you're still struggling. Those are the kind of kids that I'm most willing to help out because this is a tough subject and it's not a subject that everyone is able to just grasp immediately. If you're in here and you're doing everything that needs to be done, we'll make sure that we do whatever we need to do to get you the grade that'll get you your credit and get you moved forward. I don't want chemistry to be the reason anybody in here is not moving forward on the track that they're supposed to. Okay, respect for me, respect for your classmates, and respect for the school and the property, and just as important, respect for yourself. I demand respect for me. This is my classroom. I've earned the right to be standing at the front of this classroom, which again I'm not currently not, um, and that I demand respect for that. Um, I know they say respect uh, is earned. I disagree with that statement. I think respect should be given by default, and that disrespect is earned. I will do everything in my power to not earn your disrespect. I will treat every one of you with respect, and I'll treat every one of you fairly, and I 100% expect the same. That same goes with your interactions with your students. I won't allow um anybody to tread on anybody else in my classroom. This is everybody has equal rights around here, and I'm 100% believe that everybody is entitled to that level, to a level of respect, unless they've done something to change that. Um, Respect the property. Please be careful with the equipment. We don't have a ton of it, and we don't have a ton of money to replace equipment whenever we're using it. So, our desks are the desks we have. Don't write on them. Don't put your gum on them. Um, don't stand on them. When we're in the lab, be careful with the glassware. Not only is it dangerous to handle it carelessly, but we are on a budget, and everything costs money. So every piece of glassware that gets broken has to be paid for and replaced. So just please respect that. Uh, and then lastly, make sure you respect yourself, meaning come to school um, prepared and proud of who you are and what you're doing, and don't let anybody tread on you. Know who you are, and know that um, you're worth other people's respect. All right. Lastly, I expect some communication. Um, Communication is going to be key, especially early in the year and when soccer season starts. Because now during volleyball season, I'm going to be gone a lot, and then when soccer season starts up, I'm going to be gone a lot then. So communication between us is going to be very important. If there's an issue going on that I need to know about, please tell me ahead of time, or if you know you're going to be absent, let me know, and I'll try to get the material to you before that absence. If you're having a problem with me or with somebody in the class, please don't hesitate to come and talk to me. Um, I had a student few years ago um, who was under the impression that I did not like him, and he was under that impression pretty much the entire year, and he didn't express his feelings to me towards the end, and I was like, and I have no idea what you're talking about. I was like, I have nothing. Like, I was like, he was actually one of my most pleasant kids, and I was very fond of him actually. But for some reason, I'd said something early on in the year that he misinterpreted, and he took it as me not liking him. So let's try to avoid those situations. If there's an issue, please come talk to me. Much more likely to be able to handle it and improve the situation if you come to me directly. All right, moving on. When you come in, sit down, begin the do not on the board. Please place your backpacks underneath the desk if possible. If you can't, place them to the side. The space in between the desks is very narrow, so try to keep it as clear as possible. I do not want backpacks on top of desks because that makes it really hard to do any writing. So I should never have a backpack on top of the desk. Um, Phones, not big, not a big fan of the phones. If I see it, I'm not going to destroy it. I will pick it up though. The school policy says I'm supposed to pick it up, fill out a piece of paper, put it down in front office. I hope it doesn't get to that point. If I see it, I might say, give you one easy warning. If I'm not, I won't give you two. The second time, I'll just take it. But what I do is I just hold on to it to the end of the class period, and then you can have it back. The only time this has ever become an issue is when people make it an issue and they don't give up their phone. If you force me to, I'll have to get other people involved. I don't like getting other people involved, um, but I will if you force me to. So just you know, be respectful of that rule. Keep them up. If it comes out and I say I see it, then I'll hold on to it the rest of the class. It's that simple. Connected to phones are headphones. Often, well, now I guess they're not connected anymore, but headphones are became like one of my most despised things last year. Before you walk into my room, you will not take any headphones that are in your ears and take them out and put them up. You cannot enter my room with headphones on. Um, it just I got to the point last year where I that's it. I mean, that's the rule. Do not try to come into my room with headphones on. Food, don't bring food in here. Lots of chemicals in this room. Oftentimes, they'll be on the desk up front. They'll be in the lab areas, and you never know when you pick up a paper, take it to the lab, bring that paper back to your desk. What might be on the bottom of that paper? Now it's on your desk. You put an apple down, you start eating that apple. Now you're eating that food. Now you're eating that chemical. So no food at all. If you have a drink, as long as it falls within the rules and regulations for it, it's fine. If it's not a screw top, I'm going to ask you to throw it away. All right. Bathroom. If you look over to the door that you came in, there's a sign out sheet on it, and a big yellow pass. All I ask is that you go sign it, put the day's date, your name, and make sure I get my pass back. I'm not going to bother with signing the back of your IDs. That was too much time. If you need to go to the bathroom, raise your hand. If I acknowledge you and you say I need to go to the bathroom, I'll probably just nod to the door and then do your thing. Pretty simple. Absences. If you're absent, look at the blacktop desk at the front of the room. Any handouts that I give out for any particular unit, what I'll try to do is keep them lined up on that front of that desk, and I'll keep them lined up for as long as we are in that particular unit. So if you missed a day and you come in and you look at that table and you see a piece of paper that you hadn't seen there before, that probably means you need it. But like I said, if you know you're going to be absent ahead of time, let me know and I can get through those materials. If you need a pen or pencil, there will be a beaker on my desk with pens or pencils in it. Like I said, just leave an ID and you can borrow one. If you need paper, I usually provide paper. I usually have a little bit of paper on me, but at least buy yourself one pack. It's like 99 cents. All right, all schools and rules and regulations will be enforced. This is mainly what I'm talking about here is dress code, and which means mainly I'm talking about is IDs. I'm going to be pretty strict on it. You can ask any of my athletes if what happens to them when they're not in dress code. I can't do that to my students, but I can require you to have an ID on before you come into my class, and that's what I will do. So when you come to my door, make sure you have your ID on, and make sure that you're in dress code. If your shirt or something or your pants there's something wrong or out of place, I will send you down to get that fixed. Our dress code has lightened up quite a bit since I first started working here, so it shouldn't be too big of an issue. It's mainly the IDs that we're talking about. Okay, grading policy, 20% daily, 30% formative. That means quizzes and labs, and 50% summative. Those are unit tests. So half of your grades coming from our unit tests. My unit tests are difficult. I have had in the past class averages be in the 40s. I've had in the past entire classes fail. And I totally expect that to happen again. These tests are difficult. The subject matter is difficult. So where you want to make sure you're taken care of is that daily and that formative. Daily should be uh, almost 100 for everybody in here. If you're in here doing what you're supposed to be doing and getting your work done at home, that should be a pretty high grade for you, and you need it to be a pretty high grade. Quizzes can be difficult, but labs are essentially take-home projects. That's another grade that you have 100% control over. Um, you need those first two categories to be a pretty high average because that third category, I promise you, is going to be pretty low. For a lot of y'all, it's going to be real low. So do what you can have 100% control over your daily assignments and your labs. Get that stuff taken care of so that when you pull that, when I put that test on your desk and you look down and see a 55, you don't die from a heart attack. Late work policy is the same as any other. science department policy, late work policy. It's like 3 days or something. Honestly, I'm pretty lenient when it comes to late work. I will take points off, but if you get it done and get it turned in, you will get something for it. Very rarely, and just say no. But bear in mind, you will have points taken off. If it's late, at the very minimum, you're getting 10 points off. If it's extremely late, I might start you at a 70. So just keep that in mind. Retest policy and corrections. We'll go over that in here in a second. All right, we'll come back to this. Let's talk about corrections and retests real quick. All right, every year becomes every year this is a bugaboo, and like people struggle with this. I don't know why. I have it written out 100% the way I want you to do it, but there's always some confusion. So here's what you have to do. If you fail a test, you are eligible to correct it. But what you have to remember, what you're doing is you're doing corrections to make yourself eligible for a retest. And on that retest, the maximum you can get is a 70. So if you fail a test with like a 67 or 68, something like that, is it really worth your time and effort to try to bump it up 2 points? That's not for me to say, but that's something you might want to take into consideration. Um, Once you get your test back, you'll have 5 days. I usually give like a full calendar week to get corrections and retests done. And then it also depends on my schedule. If I have games, multiple games that week, or I'm going to be gone multiple days, I'll extend that time period. You will know when the last day you're eligible to do a retest on is. So the way it works is you get your test back, you do your corrections, and then you turn those corrections in. If they're correctly done, you're eligible to retest, and then we'll schedule for a time for you to do that. You can either come in the morning or do it in the homework center in the morning or after school. As of right now, I'm not available after school, so if you can only do it after school, it'd have to be in homework center. All right, so there's basically three types of questions on my test. There's multiple choice questions, there's math problems, and then there's open-ended questions. There's very specific ways they need to be done. If you have a multiple choice question that's gotten wrong, first thing you're going to do is rewrite the question and then indicate what the correct answer is. You then must explain why the answer you chose is incorrect. This is very important that I'm clear here. I don't want you to say I didn't know or I guessed. I don't that's not the point of doing this. What I want you to do is actually look at your answer and figure out why it's not the correct answer for that particular question, and explain that. This is the part that people often struggle with. If you're having issues with this part, don't be afraid to come ask me. I'll help you. But this is part of the corrections process. Is the whole idea of why corrections exist is for you to go back and analyze why you got something wrong, and to learn from that. You learn more from questions you get wrong than questions you get right. If it's a math problem, even if it's multiple choice, all I want you to do for those is show me all the correct math, all the correct calculations you would need to do to end up with the answer that I'm looking for, showing all your work step by step. And then the third type of question is any open-ended question. Any open-ended question meaning any question that requires a written response. Um, for those, all you need to do is just give me the 100% correct answer. If it's you know a, a 4 point question, you got 2 out of 4 of those points, and you're doing corrections. I don't want you to give me the 2 other points. You're going to give me a full answer that would have gotten you the 4 total points. Written and complete sentences, of course. I have an example for that. Let me switch cameras real quick. Okay. All right, so this would be example of what your test corrections page looks like. You're going to do it on a separate sheet of notebook paper. You can put your name and date up here. You're going to put whatever unit test it was and write test corrections. So let's see, this person missed number 16. Number 16 said, when preparing a solution, the substance that is to be dissolved is called, and the correct answer was D, the solute. So that's exactly how I'd want you to write it out. Write the question and then whatever the correct answer is. Then in a separate sentence, you're going to write my answer. In this case, the person who put C, the solvent, was incorrect because the solvent is the substance that does the dissolving. So here, this person is distinct. This person got the question wrong because they got the definition of these two words flipped. So in their corrections, that person needed to indicate what their answer actually meant. Number 12 was just a math problem. And what I did was I showed the equation that I was going to use, and then I labeled all the different variables that were going to be plugged into this equation. Do you have to do this every single time? Technically, no, but I encourage it because it's more practice you have at doing this, the better understanding you have of that particular equation. This is the part that would have to be in there. Here's the actual equation with the numbers in it. I showed the math that I'm doing. This is a butterfly method. I'm cross multiplying here. So I get 303x and 626. Then I divide, so cross multiply and divide, and then I get my answer. So even though this question actually was a multiple choice question, since it's a math problem, all I need you to do is show me the actual math to get the correct answer. And then, like, say, on this particular test, number 24 was an open-ended question. So I'm not rewriting the question. I'm just writing the correct answer. So these squiggly lines are representing complete sentences and whatnot. All right. So in the end, however many sheets of paper you have, I'd have them staple it to the back of the test. And if you did them correctly, then you're eligible to retest. All right, that's test corrections. Let's look at one other thing real quick. And that'll be it for today. And let me see. All right. This is my syllabus. If you want a copy of it, you just let me know. I'll make you a copy. I'm not printing copies out for everybody. But there is a link to it on my homepage for VISD if your parents want to look at it. But if you want a copy, just tell me. I'll print you one out. This is just the subjects we're going to go over. There's a lot more than that. Trust me. I'm just going to touch on a couple things here. Materials that you need. Map colors would be useful. Roll of paper towels and a gallon of distilled water would be really, really helpful and useful to me. I use both of these things in labs. So if you want to bring me a roll of paper towel and a gallon of distilled water, I would be super happy. This is really the only thing you 100% want to make sure you have, and that's a 3-ring binder. Get a 3-ring binder. If you want to keep it in my class, that's fine. I have plenty of room in the back of the room. I will have sections of the bookshelves back there for each individual class. But definitely suggest that you have a 3-ring binder. You know about those, kind of talked about those. That's all this stuff you can read if you want, but it's pretty straightforward and stuff we've already talked about. Midterms and final exams, when it comes time, those count for 15% of your grade. So this is why I suggest keeping a binder, so you can keep all your materials throughout the semester, because those tests are not easy, and it's going over everything that we covered previous to it. So it's important to hold on to the information that I give you. And then there's the exemption policy. Pretty much the same as last year. Make sure you don't get any referrals. Make sure you're not going to ISS. No more than 3 absences. So you got to be here and you got to have that grade above 80 if you don't want to have to take my test. And trust me, you would probably not want to have to take my test. Most of us are sophomores. I do have some juniors. So 3 classes or 4 classes you can be exempt from. And if you qualify, that I would strongly suggest exempting yourself from mine. Um, Tutoring. I don't have a specific tutoring time. I'm extremely busy with volleyball right now, and then I'll be extremely busy with soccer. But it doesn't mean I won't make time to help you out. Most of the time, my free time is in the mornings, but I don't always come in super early if I don't have to. So if you want extra help, you got to come to me and talk to me, and we'll schedule a time where we can meet up, and I'll be more than willing to help you. There's always the homework center available. There's usually at least 1 or 2 science teachers down there. I don't know if there's always a chemistry teacher down there. So really, if you need extra help, the best way would be to talk to me and come in, either in the morning or try to work out some other time that might work for us. Here's my contact information. School phone number on my extension is 39323. Really, the best way to get in contact me if your parents want to is my email address. It's john.stoltenberg@bsd.net. All right, let's go back and do our closing task, and then we're done. Okay, so on the same piece of that paper, in the box labeled closing task, I want you to tell me what your number one goal for this year is. Whatever it is, whether it's an academic goal, whether it's a personal goal, whether it's an athletic goal or a extracurricular goal. Just what is your number one goal for this school year? Remember, keep this page. Uh, it will always be turned in at the end of the week. Tomorrow's the end of the week, so keep it. You'll have something to write on it tomorrow and be prepared to turn it in after that. Otherwise, hope you'll have a great first day of school. Sorry I couldn't be there. I look forward to seeing and meeting you guys on Monday. Have a good one.